Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and guys, we've got a ton of Epstein update action right here. We're doing the Ask Me Anything so we can all get into the different avenues of this. But before we go anywhere, I think that we need to get right into the fact that we now, at least according to the attorneys, the passport with Saudi Arabia was Austrian. And their claim is that there were a lot of hijackings in the 80s. It was necessary. We'll just read the clip. And then I actually want to play that Tucker Carlson bit because it gives a good background of how ludicrous this is. And we can lead into some new information with that. Okay? Let's see. The government offers nothing to suggest, and certainly no evidence, that Epstein ever used it. They wrote in a filing addressed to the U.S. District Judge Richard Berman. In any case, Epstein, an affluent member of the Jewish faith, acquired the passport in the 1980s when hijackings were prevalent in connection to Middle Eastern travel. The passport was for personal protection in the event of travel to dangerous areas, only to be presented to potential kidnappers, hijackers, or terrorists should violent episodes occur. Of course, I'm not buying it, okay? Let's see. This was a letter sent to Judge Berman on Tuesday to see how Epstein obtained the foreign passport and whether it was genuine or fabricated. The defendant's possession of what purports to be a foreign passport issued under an alias gives rise to an inference the defendant knows how to obtain false travel documents, of course it does, and or assume other foreign identities. This adds to the serious risk of flight by the defendant. Of course it does. Of course it does. So again, the lawyers are saying it was issued from Austria. Still pretty mysterious. If anybody has any more information on that, please let me know. This was published in the last couple of hours. But before we get to the questions, and we're going to go right down the line, I promise you we already have it set up. It's right over here. So we're going to get to that in a minute. So get your questions in there. I will try to get to everybody, guys, but we all know that's not going to happen. So we'll go down the line with it. But just, Tucker, he did a poor job with Peter Thiel. But in this piece, he does a pretty damn good job of showing how ludicrous the situation is.
Well, the sex trafficking charges against Jeffrey Epstein are horrifying. But there's a part of the story that's mysterious and interesting and potentially significant legally and newsworthy. Jeffrey Epstein was famously rich. He was friends with the world's richest and most influential people. He had one of the most expensive homes in New York City, access to a private jet. He literally has his own private island. Everyone calls him billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. You'd think billionaire was his first name. All of a sudden, though, no one can answer the most obvious question. How much money did he have, and how did he make it? What did Jeffrey Epstein do for a living? Nobody seems to know. When we're confused, there's one person we go to just reflexively. Melissa Francis, she co-hosts Outnumbered here at Fox News Channel, also After the Bell on Fox Business. We're always happy to have her. Maybe you know the answer, Melissa Francis.
So the same thing was driving me crazy, that people kept saying billionaire hedge fund manager. And I'm like, what hedge fund? What are we talking about here? Where did this money come from? This has been the subject of a lot of mystery and curiosity for a while. You mentioned the property. We can verify and confirm that, yes, he does own at least 6 properties around the world, including that $80 million townhouse in New York and that private island. But where did the money to buy that come from? We've got to go back to the beginning. He was originally a math teacher at Dalton on the Upper East Side, which is a very snooty private school here in New York City. He had never graduated from college, but he was there teaching calculus and physics. He tutored the son of legendary Bear Stearns trader Ace Greenberg. And when he was tutoring his son, Ace said, "You're so good at math, you should come work on Wall Street."
And let's stop it there, because so this is his supposed foray from being, again, a professor with no degree who's so good at everything to now being a Bear Stearns trader. And, again, I put this in my original WRC piece from a couple years ago.
He, at that point, went down and became an options trader, which is very math-based. After a few years, he left Bear Stearns, and according to the SEC, there were some questions about what happened at Bear Stearns and why he left. No more details than that, just some allegations. At that point, he hung out his own shingle, and he partnered with a guy named Stephen Hoffenberg.
And let's stop. Stephen Hoffenberg, they're going to talk about the scandal with Towers International, how he does some time, how there was a Ponzi scheme, how he says that Epstein was involved. Epstein does no time. But Hoffenberg, again, after he gets out, he gets his job back with Towers International. They're currently in a lawsuit with Epstein. And Hoffenberg was also the biggest super PAC donor to the Trump campaign in the 2016 election.
Who was convicted of running a $460 million Ponzi scheme. At the time that man was convicted, he said that Epstein was involved, but no charges were ever brought against him. Those allegations were never corroborated. But they did try and do about 3 takeovers together at around this time. After that, he then took his company offshore to that island, and all of a sudden he was set up in the Virgin Islands, where you don't have to report anything. You don't have to say who your clients are. You don't have to say how much money you have on record. And for that reason, Forbes would never put him on the list because they couldn't verify how much money he had. At that point, his only public client on record is a guy named Leslie Wexner.
And let's stop. They're going to tell you a little bit about Leslie Wexner now. Leslie Wexner broke his silence about Epstein today and says, "Oh, I cut him off 12 years ago. I knew nothing about any of this. Oh, nobody knows anything anymore. Oh."
Who is the CEO of the company that owns Victoria's Secret. And after that, he was always connected to Wexner, and he said that he only managed money for billionaires. If you couldn't give him $1 billion, he wasn't going to do it. But no one has any idea who any of his other clients were, and no one else has ever admitted, as far as we could tell and confirm, no one else has admitted to being a client of his. The strangest part is how that part of the story ends.
Because now you're going to find out Wexner just gives him a bunch of stuff. Well, I barely knew anything about Epstein. I didn't know anything was going on. Wexner named in a lot of these lawsuits, by the way, by Guffrey, Jane Doe 43, who I believe is Sarah Onsum, and many others. Okay, so let's continue here.
He was given that townhouse from Wexner. It was deeded over to him. And no one can find a payment that he paid Wexner for it in any way. He also has hand-me-down airplanes from Wexner that used to that airplane that you see him on, at least one of them.
Melissa Francis,
how bizarre is
if
that?
I could just deputize you, our Jeffrey Epstein reporter, I hope you will come back on this.
Just ridiculous. So again, Wexner trying to distance himself. Daily Caller, doing a big article on all the Democratic ties. Have a little video. We're not going to play that. But these are the latest, guys. Again, the big news to me is that the lawyers are saying the passport was Austrian and that he didn't want to be hijacked. So now, let's start getting into it. And by the way, I want to thank Angela, I believe it's Foster. She just gave me a bunch of deposition excerpts to go through. This one's 839 pages. I haven't made it searchable yet, but we'll definitely be doing that. So let's get to it. Let's get to the AMA. Let's see. Where are we at? Sorry, guys. 4 screens. Sometimes it's tough. Okay. Oh, we got a super chat. Let's start with the super chat. I'll take all super chats. So as long as I see your super chat come up, guys, I don't mean to skip anything. I'm only doing Epstein related. You ask something dumb or you have a comment, I don't care. This is all Epstein related stuff. This is what it's about. Excellent reporting. It's riveting, this story. This story is nuts. And Doc Torque 707, thank you for the support. Really appreciate it, especially if you're one of the new viewers, listeners. Let's see. All right. Let's see. So that's before. Okay, yes, there's Angela. Thank you, Angela Foster. Let's see. We got a Heyo. Hello. Held for review. T-1 minute. Okay, that's not good. Dim the lights. Dude, it started and skipped like 2 minutes ahead. Okay, I don't know what that means. Let's see. Getting notifications today. I suspected the UK. It was closed. I was close. Okay. What makes no sense? Let's see. Held for review. Another super chat. Thank you. Pretty exciting to see this info reported on the Mind Control Brainwasher television. What do you think of Dan Boingino's information on this issue? I'm not sure exactly what his information is on this. But let me say this. Adnan Khashoggi, the Saudi arms dealer, we did a whole video on it today, and we'll go back to that really quickly. But Vicky Ward, who broke a ton of this stuff, has now gone on television. We'll bring it right back to the point where we need to, right around here. And she said this.
The point that actually Annie Farmer made, that victims might feel not so confident in coming forward if he gets bail. I will say one thing, Lawrence, about that passport. Jeffrey Epstein has testified in the late 1980s that he was finding money for people.
Let's stop that. And she's got a whole thing on this on Twitter. You can follow her, Vicky P.J. Ward. I encourage you to follow her. I'm sure she's gaining a ton of followers right now. But she talks about how Adnan Khashoggi was somebody he was finding this money for. The billionaire arms dealer, Iran-Contra affair man involved, not only being a Saudi Arabian billionaire, but again, those arms were moved through Israeli intelligence down to the Contras. The drugs were moved up from South America into the United States where they were sold. BCCI Banking ran all the money operations. And another guy, oh, that's not it. Where is he? Do we have the Daniel Hofsicker? I wish I lost it again. But Daniel Hofsicker wrote something weird about J.P. Morgan and possibly that and that tank or that big shipment crate with cocaine in it, the $1 billion worth of coke that was connected to J.P. Morgan, something having to do with that. So Adnan Khashoggi.
I can tell you that according to one of my sources, one of those people was Adnan Khashoggi. He's now dead. Big Saudi, yes. So that might explain.
He's a big Saudi businessman. At the time, we thought the richest of the Saudi businessmen.
Yes.
Yeah. So Khashoggi would have been in a position to help him get a Saudi.
No, yes, he would have been. And if Jeffrey Epstein was finding money that was stolen from him, that would explain it.
Well, you know, that's one way to look at it. And again, I'm not quite sure, but it certainly shows that he was more than likely what? Intelligence. That's what it looks like, okay? Intelligence. All right, so let's keep going here. Nope, we're not reading that. He should get he should get charged for the false passport. Absolutely. Absolutely he should. Let's see. Yeah, thumbs up, like, share, guys. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the Bourbon Brigade. We do a lot of reports here, guys. I mean, a ton of reports. This is video 6 of the day. I don't know anybody who's going as deep on Epstein. We do NXIVM, DARPA, R. Kelly, Trump, Acosta, you name it. We go big here or go home. And we don't like going home unless we're going all the way. Remember, now we know, apparently, Austrian passport. Back to the chat. Do I have another super chat? I do. Thank you so much. Max Statuewiski, do you think Epstein being charged with sex trafficking is just the tip? Of course, it's just the tip of the iceberg. What if we find out about child sacrificing rituals happened or child torture? I mean, he had a dentist here. He also had prosthetic breasts that he was playing with, apparently, in the bathtub. I encourage people to read this book here, The Franklin Scandal. I am not saying everything in this is 100%, but if you want to learn about the realities of this occultic stuff and possible satanic ritual abuse in a factual manner, this thing is sourced like that. What you're looking at me flipping through, and I know you can see some of it, that's just the sourcing of the book, okay? It actually goes further than that. Here it is. This is the documentation section. So will we find out more about that? I don't know. I think we've already seen some really weird stuff, Max. For instance, you know, the large sundial from the tarot cards, that's occultic. Obviously, the temple, and being in blue and white, and you just heard the lawyers talk about his quote-unquote Jewish faith, so, and his relationship to Ehud Barak and others. So I think that that's extremely possible. Wait, so we skipped down a lot there, huh? Yeah, we did. Let's see. We're going to try to go back somewhat. Boom. All right, let's see. Here we go. Let's see. Not a professor, a high school teacher. How does a spot of land in New York cost 12 times as much as an island in the Caribbean? What, $77 million? Exactly. $77 million mansion. Although it is in the middle of Manhattan, it is going to be a lot of money. But Little St. James, and he had Greater St. James. You know, let's not forget that. So let's continue here. like long walks and sundials. That's right, guys. We have that sundial footage. By the way, Rusty Shackelford, a.k.a. Dale Gribble from King of the Hill, that's his alias, he put up new footage today, new drone footage, and it seems like they have an ambulance on the island. I guess maybe he has to do that because it is an island, but that means he probably has a full-time medical facility on that island as well. He also has like some new shots of the dump. Again, Rusty Shackelford, go check it out, guys. Let's see, Deep State Motor, we just talked about Wexner. I don't know where the Soros connection is. If you can give me one, I'll check it out. Blackmail rings are inherently war criminal enterprises. As an American using American children in the blackmail ring. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Obviously I do this because I think this stuff is abhorrent, and it is also treason. Let's see. Yes, please like the video. How's it going? It's going well. I hope it's going for you as well. Yes, it seems blackmail. I wonder which intelligence agency brokered the sale of the island. That's a good question. All of these intelligence agencies would have access to, getting these phony passports. It's just like, who's issuing it? What agency is getting it done? That's the real question. Where's it getting made? Let's see. To target children under the age of 15 with abuse in order to dominate culture through blackmail is a war crime punishable by death. I can't disagree. I don't know. I don't think everybody's talking about whether he gets suicide or not. He's a 66-year-old man, and you can't put it past these people. For instance, if you look at that former Egyptian president who died in court in a glass cage about a month and a half ago, did a report on that. You'd think that was unbelievable, but it happened, didn't it? We got another super chat. Thank you so much, Kim. What is the significance of the Austrian passport? Great question. So, first of all, it has an alias for him. They're now admitting that. How many people have aliases in the 80s with an actual passport? They also found stacks of money and diamonds inside of this thing. Now, issued in the 80s. And Vicky Ward, who seems to be the source of all this information, that he was in intelligence. For instance, that information comes from a Trump transition team member who was there when Acosta, the former labor secretary who just had to resign, he was asked the Epstein question. And he said, look, I was told it's above my pay grade, and he was in intelligence. When they asked him at the press conference, he wouldn't answer that. So now if he's in intelligence and he's got a passport from the 80s and he's finding money for Adnan Khashoggi, the known Mossad CIA asset. For instance, where is this article? We got to show this thing again. Where is it? Man. This guy was a billionaire playboy. He was hanging out with everybody you could imagine, Noriega, et cetera, et cetera. Here it is right here. I encourage people to check this out. And this is Adnan in the middle, Reagan, Noriega. He was heavily involved in Iran-Contra. So now you got to ask yourself, if Epstein's intelligence in the 80s, and he's got this passport, and we don't know what his alias name is yet, but they just hinted toward it maybe being an Israeli name as his Jewish faith. Although, if it was a Saudi Arabian passport, maybe it was a Saudi Arabian name or an Austrian name. It's tough to tell. But they used shell companies. And it seems at the end of Khashoggi's life, all right, when he was losing, he went bankrupt, even though Jamal Khashoggi was his nephew. Think about how these intelligence assets run. They run family deep. Nepotism is real in that world. So I think that's really the significance. Kim, I really thank you for that super chat. David, see what you got to say, brother. What do you think of the sundial as something else? The stylus or gnomon in the wrong place for telling time, seats for audience and icons, arena. Well, there's 13 seats, right? And they're multicolored, and I think that they're in the spirit of the regular tarot, and it's certainly... it looks like a traditional tarot card. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to think the worst, David, that there's some kind of weird rituals going on there. But do I think it's just for show, or do I think that, when he throws parties out there, people do stuff there? Sure. What they do, I'm going to leave that up to y'all. I'm not going to take a Geske and Hutch. I'm going to fold on that one and say it's weird enough that's there, and it's so large. There's so many weird things going there. All right, so I guess I got to look at that Bongino stuff. I guess Hollywood guy arrested for CP. Who was that? I don't know who that is. 7 minutes late. So it wasn't Saudi. This doesn't change his Khashoggi connection. It does not change the Khashoggi connection. What is the Rothschild connection, and when was that? Sure. So the Rothschild connection, at least to Epstein, is that Lady Rothschild, according to Dershowitz, introduces Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at the same time, and Ghislaine Maxwell, the main procurer for Epstein, according to all the documents, all the allegations, and also the daughter of Robert Maxwell, super spy, a.k.a. Mossad agent and media mogul. So he's a big media mogul. He's a Mossad agent. He either gets murdered or dies on his boat, the Lady Ghislaine. She seems to kind of be his intelligence protege. And Ghislaine apparently has properties in Europe. On top of that, she was supposedly in court with Virginia Giuffre on the 11th, and I've seen nothing else about that. So again, guys, if you've got more information, you can hit me in my DMs and Twitter. I'm checking out what I can. I can't check it all. But, quick bullet points on why I should be checking something out always helps me. We got another super chat. I'm going to go to it in 1 second. I'm going to just scroll down a little bit, so hopefully we don't get too far behind. Do you think this will find its way back to Black September? If we're talking about September 11th, I mean, the Iran-Contra network, there's a reason that was Invisible Empire. The reasons that I'm talking about Cheney, Rumsfeld, the National Programs Office in the 80s, it's all the same clique, man. It's all the same clique. It's the clique that wants to take over all of Eurasia. It's the clique that wants to let Israel dominate in that region. Listen, Saudi Arabia wants to keep doing their thing. Israel wants to expand, and the United States is all for it as long as they have military power inside there and they can help take out Iran and any other rogue nations left. It's been a plan for a very, very long time. And that's just in Eurasia. I mean, AFRICOM is there for a reason too. These are global dominators. And this alliance has been around for a long time. It doesn't mean they don't stab themselves in the back every once in a while. I mean, something happened with Jamal Khashoggi, for sure. But there's a reason that it didn't cause an international nightmare. Okay? All right. Great work. I appreciate what you do every day. All these sick mother truckers need to be brought to justice. Thank you, man. Thank you, Matthew. Let's go to the super chat. I don't want to miss it. Christine Foster, thank you so much. Really appreciate just the support. Glad I didn't skip over you. Jason, do you know if Epstein has any ties to NXIVM? Maybe not directly that we know about yet, but Pamela Kafritz, the Bronfmans, Edgar Bronfman, these run in the same circles. And, Clinton would be a big, big connection, I guess, because Hillary Clinton was mentored by Edgar Bronfman, the senior Bronfman, the Seagram's billionaire, the guy who was also involved in the entertainment industry, okay? I think it was Universal he invested in at the time. Don't quote me on that. I may be a little wrong. But he was also the head of the World Jewish Congress. He helped get back some of the Nazi money that was supposedly taken from the Jews during World War II. He was given the Presidential Medal of Honor by Bill Clinton. So there, Bill Clinton, there's a big connection between Edgar Bronfman, Bill Clinton, and mentoring Hillary. Hillary spoke at his memorial service. And then NXIVM, with Claire and Sarah Bronfman. Sarah's still out of the country, but Claire Bronfman, in those indictments, you can go to my page. I have a whole video on it where I read it. She was alleged to have committed campaign finance fraud on behalf of Clinton during the 2007 2008, it was in 2007, the primary to run for president back then. So yeah, there's a connection right there. I mean, Epstein's lawyers are claiming he helped start the Clinton Initiative, or the Clinton Foundation. So let's continue. What does Bongino just come out and say it? Yeah, it's tough because he seems like he probably has some inside information. People feel like, but some of the things he said are sketchy in the past to me. I like to stick to what I can prove, make the connections that are really there. Max, what would you do if Epstein gets another slap on the wrist with all the dirt he has? He has to have a kill switch. Worried about Thursday hearing. I'm sweating it out too, but here we are. Here we are, man. I mean, it's been a whirlwind, right? We're like not even a week and a half. Week and a half in now. Yeah, week and a half in. It's a little bit sketchy. But, I mean, we found out so much more, and so many more people are coming forward in a week and a half, and it looks like there's going to be new investigations into Mexico, etc. So, yeah, I'm keeping my head up. I'm hoping we can get this thing going. Do you think they will be able to link the Clintons or at least Bill to Epstein? They're sure trying. I think it's definitely a possibility, if not a probability, with all the corruption that these guys are in. I mean, let's be honest. These people are the literal worst. The literal worst, guys. We all know it, right? It's not new. All right, so let's continue on. He was a skip tracer. I don't know what a skip tracer is. Epstein took over for Mark Rich. I need to see some evidence for that, I guess. Let's see. At Reed, the connection is already there. Not sure what that is. Trump bought Khashoggi's yacht. Yes, Trump bought Adnan Khashoggi's yacht. We put that. It was a $200 million yacht. Adnan Khashoggi. Here, let's go to some of that right now. Okay. So in other Trump stuff, he bought Khashoggi's uncle, a.k.a. Adnan Khashoggi's yacht. Khashoggi, this is him and his wife at Trump's first wedding. Here's Trump and Robert Maxwell, the super spy we talked about. But again, Maxwell was a big media figure, so of course he's going to be there. Here's Ghislaine Maxwell, the head madam for, and Maxwell's daughter where? At Clinton's daughter's wedding. So yeah, these people were connected even when he was supposedly going broke. He's hanging out with Paris Hilton. Give me a break. And then there's Trump with Ghislaine back in 97, I believe. Yep. So yeah, the connections are there. And Trump, hanging out with a hooker ring aboard yachts. He liked being around models. Let's not kid ourselves. And there we are again. The big news today, the passport is Austrian. And Wexner is denying anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Who's Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm sure you don't. All right, let's continue on. The U.S. Navy anchored off Little St. James involved in digging up tunnels and securing the evidence. I sure hope you're right. I don't know that that's a fact. I'm sure it's not being reported. I don't know what message board that's on, but that would be Nito Cabito if it was true. Saudi Arabia owns 18% stock hold in Fox News. Okay, that could be factual. I'm not sure. Do you think Epstein is a Bohemian Grove member? Possible. He certainly, although everybody wants to make this about right and left, and he does seem to have a lot of Democratic connections, I wouldn't doubt that he's ever been to the Bohemian Grove. Let's see. I know, but will there be charges? I guess we'll see. I think we've got a long way to go on this. Where Jeffrey Epstein made his money is an important angle. Also, it's convenient and clever for Les Wexner to say he did not know Ghislaine Maxwell, his madam. Why is she free and not jailed? Great question. Question that I have. Do you think they will be able to raid the island soon or possible? We'll see. Let's see if they can get him to stay in jail as a flight risk right now, right? One step at a time. Let's see if they can take an asset forfeiture, that $77 million mansion, especially after they found all that CP. Come on. If I had a false passport, I'd be done. Yeah, no kidding. We'd all be done. Thoughts on why this is all coming out now? Great show, Jason. All right, so I know this is going to be hard to believe, but I believe that we make a difference. That people standing up and shouting and screaming and talking once to another and having intelligent conversations and not trying to make this into a left or right issue really do have an effect. And I think that thinking people in law enforcement, because not all of them are bad, there's corruption in every ring of life. Whether it be the education system, the political system, the corporate system, people are people. And often we suck. Not all of us. In fact, there's a very few that are sociopathic enough to climb the ladder of the predator class. But those that do, well, they do some pretty evil shit. And it takes people like us to stand up against that bully and get knocked down and made fun of and knocked down again and get kicked in the teeth and get shat upon again and again and again to keep going. So again, you just got to keep it up. So let's get this super chat before it goes away. Alex Chavez, our president was handpicked to bring these scumbags down. We'll see. Alex, I'm very skeptical and I'm hoping, I'm hoping for the best in the Gulf and Iran. I've laid off that issue, but I definitely got to do an update on that because that's still escalating, guys. And that's an important issue. That's a deep state issue. That same, like I said, that same clique we're talking about, that same deep state clique, they want to be balls deep in Iran. They want it bad. Believe that hype. So let's keep going. Is it possible that Trump is the opposite of Epstein and Hefner by spying on these people? It's reported that he's never had alcohol. Plus, he was praised by Whitey Bulger, an informant. Interesting, no? That's a tough one, man. I don't know what to make of it. He certainly was around gangsters. When I went on the run-up to this presidency, even though I still voted for him, I said, look, if you want to come to me and you want to tell me that Donald Trump is a gangster, it's hard to argue with that, correct? Why is it hard to argue with that? Well, he built Atlantic City. You don't build casinos without the help of organized crime, period. If you had come to me and said that Donald Trump is a misogynist, I would have said, well, yeah, he's had 3 wives. He's cheated on all of them. He ran beauty pageants, and he has fervently talked about his sex life and loving women. Not a surprise. If you'd come to me and said that Donald Trump is an actor, I would have said, of course. He's been in the public eye 30 plus years. He had a reality show. Reality shows are anything but real. They are scripted just like anything else, and he's taken many, many takes. Those were all real things. So do I think, he was handpicked or he's a super spy or he's, been plotting to take these people down? I know a lot of people would like to spin it that way. I would say that when he got in, he really believed he was going to be able to make a lot of the changes and become Superman. And it's a lot harder than that. He talked openly about the military-industrial complex. But this is a real thing. I think there are people, from the bottom up that are making this happen, not from the top down. But it does not hurt that maybe the top is sick of the corruption, at least some of them. So let's continue. I can only hope, but I doubt it. Wait here. Whoop, we got another super chat. Did we just skip like all through those? Let's see. We're gonna keep going back up for a second. Did I miss that super chat right there too? Yeah, I did. Oh man, I'm missing super chats, guys. I'm gonna try to get to do. We did the slap on the wrist one, right, for the Thursday hearing. Before we get to this $5 one, odd that Robert Maxwell and Don Barrs were both intel agents in 1945, both multilingual, both Nazi hunters. Then Maxwell's daughter becomes a life partner of Don Barr's student Epstein. And you know what? I've got to check that out. I've heard the Don Barr connection's not real. But I want to get back to that. And thank you so much for whatever message this was and whoever gave it to me. Bogus Hype, does Epstein come up in 9/11 research? Not before any of this, but when I was talking about that network, man, that's a real network. All right, so let's see. Did I miss anything else? That's Christine Foster. Guys, I don't mean to miss these if it doesn't. CIA spooks have multiple aliases in passports. Bogus Hype. And that's Dave right there. Let's see. Sassy Fresh. Connection to the Finders by chance? And she's talking about the group that Ted Gunderson and others in the Franklin scandal. Let's find out. I don't know. What is the significance of the Austrian passport? We did that one. All right. There we go. Now we can get down here. Let's see. The doc has crazy stuff. Was crazy stuff. Let's see. Do you find it odd that neither side is heavily pushing known relationships with Epstein because both sides have big names involved? Seems as if each side's media has a sort of a ceasefire. I don't know. It's weird. You know what? They're letting people on, though, say some pretty big things. They're still not putting that out into the, the front, the big arena. So we'll find out. Let's see. Let's hope this doesn't go the way of the Franklin scandal. I think this is well beyond that. The Franklin scandal was never as nationally media prevalent. There was a couple of mainstream media stories, very different time. We're talking about, 3 main channels, maybe 4 at the time, and now, a media firestorm, and even new media like me reaching, thousands, if not tens of thousands of people because of you guys. And if you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe, join the Burmese Brigade. We do deep dives here. This is, just an AMA where we're trying to get to some of the bigger answers. But like I said, guys, I'm doing a ton of videos on this and other important subjects. So If you want some real media, some truth, some non-left right nonsense, this is for you. Hopefully this is for you. All right, let's keep going. Is it possible that Trump set up the arrest to prosecute his enemies and three-letter agencies in relation? Again, man, I think I've answered what I think about that. Dershowitz says Lady Rothschild introduced him to Epstein and Ghislaine. Yes. I have also heard Evelyn Rothschild is on his flight manifest. I believe so. Do you think Trump might have been recruited into intelligence? You never know. I mean, not recruited into intelligence, but maybe at some point had to work with them in something previous. That's always a possibility. When you're this rich and you do that much business and you're around that much corruption and you're probably that corrupt yourself, the sky's the limit, right? A lot of this stuff is Masonic. If he's talking about the weird occultic stuff, I mean, they definitely use that occultic symbolism in Masonry. Yeah, the boobs in the bathtub were disclosed by one of the 14-year-olds. That's right. Well, that's going to get you banned right there. See that, Astro Boy? Don't appreciate it. That's how we do things here. I live in New York, buddy. It's a pretty bigoted thing to say. What is the significance of an Austrian passport? We did that. Was also a private school initially, so it's probably huge. Dentist chairs. Trump's as guilty as all the others. As far as I know, again, I think one of the main things is that allegation that he and Epstein threw a party at Mar-a-Lago with 28 models, and one of those models was Melania. Remember, this is coming from the guy that supposedly threw the party, did a video on it, might be true. Melania, Ghislaine, and Epstein and Trump all hung out together. It's a very big possibility, 100%. I'm not saying it is true. I'm saying it's being reported, and that could be one of their larger connections before they're falling out. Very possible. All right, let's keep going. There may be some teeth angle to the occult. Catherine Horton kept mentioning she could feel microwave pulse